Hey, it's Michael from Hyderabad, India. Today is July 29th. As of today, I have been in India 7 full days. Actually, today is day number 8. And I want to share a little journal update, obviously brag on God and what He's been doing, and also just kind of share for my own personal memory and keepsakes some of the firsts that I've experienced coming to India. I want to first say thank you for those of you that have been praying for Persis and I. Those of you that have sent us emails or comments on YouTube to let us know that you're praying for us. God bless you. Thank you so much. It's the greatest thing that you can do for us is to pray for us as we serve others with God's help. We just appreciate you so much. So as far as coming to Hyderabad, maybe if you had a chance to see my last journal entries from the very first trip to India, you would have seen my first one where I was quite emotional, and coming to this country was a complete shock to me. I mean, when you live in America, and I know those subscribers that are from around the world that live in difficult places are going, come on, Mike. But you got to remember, I've been a city boy my whole life, pretty much. I've had obviously difficult things happen, but still within the comfort of America. When you come to a third world country, it is a completely different animal. And I was so upset by what I saw, shocked and saddened. And I got emotional in that recording. I came back to India this time. It's amazing. I took a completely different route to India this time. I've now circumnavigated the entire globe. The first trip, I went east through Amsterdam into Delhi, and from Delhi into Hyderabad. This time, I took one of the top 5 longest flights in the Delta Airlines lineup from Atlanta, Georgia, flight 295, all the way to Tokyo, Japan. As I got into Tokyo, I began to feel this grace. I felt like a sense of belonging, like I was no longer the odd man out. Even though in Tokyo still, and in China, where I'll tell you more about, I was the only one like me, something was different this trip. I just felt a sense of comfort that I had never known. I'm telling you, coming to India, readjust your thermostat for what you think difficult is, especially if you live in America or it's somewhere where it's very comfortable and everything's done. The truth is I'm growing to love India in some ways that have been really, really shocking to me. I have an emotional tie now to India because of my wife and because of her family and because her whole history and her life is here. And wanting to know the one that God has given you means knowing where she came from. And so there's been this connection. And once with God's grace, I was able to get over the fears and the anxieties and the confusion and the misunderstanding of things. I find now it's like I feel like I'm home. It's really bizarre. It's incredible. But I started feeling it even through Tokyo, and then I went on to Shanghai. Okay, unbelievable flight. Unbelievable flight, 13 plus hours all the way from Atlanta, Georgia to Tokyo, Japan. I land in Tokyo, Japan. I'm a little bit ratted up from a 13-hour flight. God blessed me amazingly. I get on the plane, I'm towards the back. I have the whole back row to myself. I was hoping that maybe I could use mileage, to upgrade to a business class. I have a kind of a health issue that makes it difficult for me to sit in one place for a long, long period of time. So I was hoping I could maybe even upgrade, but it was just too much money, too much hassle. So God did even better for me. It was when I was praying for it one day, it's like God said, I've already answered this prayer for you. I was like, all right, Lord, so does that mean I'm going to get an upgrade to business class when I get there? No. I got an entire row all to myself. You have no idea what a blessing it was. I was going to be able to get a little bit of sleep because I was so afraid of having such bad jet lag. The total trip took 40 hours, and I cannot hardly sleep on an airplane. I just can't do it. So I was going to be a zombie by the time I got back to be reunited with my bride. I get to Shanghai, China, and God has a surprise for me. I run into an old friend, a lady that I've known pretty well for several years. And I run into her. It's like God wanted to give me some comfort, something familiar. Check this out. Here's who she is. Okay, this goes to show that even the Lord can provide 7,000 miles away from home. I get to Shanghai, China, and what do I find? Nothing but my second favorite princess, the Little Mermaid. I tell you, I was amazed when I took a drink of this, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what is this going to taste like 7,000 miles away from the US? It tasted exactly the same as it did as if I picked up a cup on Airport Drive in Huntsville, Alabama. That is amazing. Now, you know it would be just like God to help me have a Starbucks en route to Delhi. And it turns out that'll probably be my last Starbucks for up to a year. I'm going to be here with Persis as long as it takes until we get the visa process done for her to be able to return to the US. And I'm going to tell you more about that soon. But anyhow, had a great cup of Starbucks. That was super. Couldn't believe that it tasted exactly the same. Got through Shanghai, and what a neat experience that was. When I got to China, I realized how the people in China have no sense of personal space, and neither do they in India. And it's because these two countries have over 1 billion people. There's so many people, personal space is not something you can afford to have. Here in India, people will just run into you down the streets or around corners. They'll just kind of bump into you, and they don't say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," like we do in America. We give people space. Doesn't happen here. They don't have time to apologize. There's too many people, and there's not enough space for them. There's people everywhere. Same exact thing in China. So ended up making it all the way to Delhi, get to Delhi, and guess what didn't make it to Delhi? My suitcase. Standing there with another guy. He's an Indian who's traveled back from Vancouver, British Columbia on business to a family emergency. And he and I are having a little conversation about how, wow, it seems like everybody else is getting their bags except for us. Finally, the bag stops. We're without our bags. Go through the process of filing for the lost bag report. End up almost missing my plane to Hyderabad. I'm standing in line at what they call the fast forward line. I paid a little extra to get a fast forward to get my bag sooner and to get through the line sooner. But the fast forward line this morning was looking like slow motion line. I arrived at about 1:30 in the morning. My plane would now leave at 5:10 in the morning, leaving Delhi to Hyderabad. I'm standing in line, and the person before me, as the lady finishes at the ticket counter, the clock turns 4:25, which is the cutoff time at the ticket counter, and they close the gate and they close the check-in. By God's amazing grace, I get in line. The lady processes me. I race to get my ticket. I've now had to check my carry-on bag. I didn't think I'd have to do that. Check my laptop. Going through security, there's lots of people. I'm nervous. I've got my big backpack. I'm taking all these things, 2 things apart, laptop here, this, that, and the other. Not my laptop, but my tablet. And I dropped my credit card. Twice in security in Delhi now, I've dropped something important, and twice, by God's amazing grace, he has somebody notice it and then tell me about it. My credit card fell out of my little temporary wallet right onto the ground in security, and a person saw it and said, hey. I was so thankful for that. I get through security. My bag's not coming through. My electronics, I'm going, wait a second, what's going on? There's several other bags coming through. Now I'm starting to go, wait a second, am I being played here? What's happening? No, it came through finally. I got all my stuff together. I was so thankful. I get to the gate just as it says, final call. Literally, there might have been 15 people on that plane that were boarding before me. I was within the last 15 or so people getting on. So I make the plane. I was so thankful for that. Finally get to Hyderabad, take my first cab by myself without my honey baby, and because I didn't want her to come to the airport. I honestly, I had so much of a big problem with wanting to see my wife so much and to be so affectionate with her, and then to have her show up in an airport where I have to treat her like a stranger. I couldn't stomach it. And so we opted to have her stay at home, and I would just catch the cab by myself and come here. Because here you cannot do public displays of affection. So where I would want to hug her and give her, a long kiss or a long hug, it would be inappropriate. Where I would want to hold her hands, it would be inappropriate. So I just decided, let's not do that. I don't want to go through treating you like a stranger after having seen you for all this time. Let me just come to the house. So I came straight to the house. I'm coming up the steps. I'm like a zombie. 40 hours from her door, from my door to her door. I mean, incredible. I'm coming up the steps, and there she is. Oh my goodness, it was so incredible. I mean, we both had the biggest smiles on our face. We'd been so excited to see each other. We'd been so longing, and it seemed like a dream. I tell you, for the first whole day, we just kept saying, is this real? Is this real? Like, are we really here? And you're going to understand why when I tell you the visa story, both hers and mine behind this, how it is that God worked it out for us to not have to be separated until her visa came in. Wait until you hear the story. You're going to see more evidence of God's hand over and over in our life. And I want you to see these things because I want you to see what it looks like to practically obey God, not just to talk about Christianity. I have a friend I'm mentoring right now, and he came and actually stayed with me for a few days. He'd gotten to the place where the Lord had given him good understanding in the Word, and he's able to stay right with me in the Word and understanding. But now he's having to walk it out, and he sees that I'm 7 years ahead of him in walking it out, and walking it out is a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ballgame to walk out Christianity than it is to talk Christianity. And what I mean by this is not the Christianity that we have at church today. I'm talking about actually a life lived in faith, where God repeatedly shows you things that have yet to come to pass, and He puts an obstacle in between or circumstances that contradict what that promise is. My friend, this is the only way God works. This is how faith works. Faith isn't faith unless you have to go through something impossible to get to the promise. That's how your faith is built. It's being sure of what you hope for and certain of what you do not see. So I want to share this visa process with you in another video. Right now, I just want to share a couple more things that happened. Bless her heart, my sweetheart. This was a hard thing for me to see. She went with me. We caught a cab. 3 days later, they found my bag. So I went 3 days without my bag. Third day, they find the bag. We get to 3/4 of the way there. The shaking in the car, the nausea from the fumes from being in the traffic. The traffic here is unbelievable. I mean, you can't even imagine what the traffic is like unless you've been here. And Persis has not been used to being in a car for a long time and in the back seat. She's getting sick. We have to pull the cab over. She's trying to get the window down, and she can't get the window down, trying to get the car open. We get her out on the side of the road, and my poor sweet wife is having to throw up. I'm there rubbing her back, getting her some water and helping her, and I'm feeling so terrible. I feel horrible. I even invited her to go now. We finally get her calmed down. We get there. We get my bag. On the way home, the same thing starts to happen. Only this time, I'm like Moses with my hands raised practically in prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, please, God, give grace, give grace, give grace. I never stopped praying. I just kept praying, rubbing on her leg, rubbing her back, praying, and all of a sudden, it's like she came back to life. It was incredible. She goes, I'm okay, baby. I'm all right. I'm going to be okay. And I'm like, this is fantastic. So we made it home safe. That was wonderful. Then, I'll tell you this. I almost had a throw-up experience. I'm a little embarrassed to tell this, especially if I have to tell this story to my friend Steve Benton. When he hears this story, he's not going to be so proud of me. He calls me the little mountain goat because I'm on the trail all the time, but he also knows I'm a city slicker at heart. So I had my first experience eating a chicken that I had just seen alive a few minutes earlier, okay? So here, when you eat chicken, you go to the little chicken store, and it's, right up the street here, and the chickens are outside in a cage. You go in, you tell the man how many chickens you want. He goes outside, gets them, cluck, 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 and they're going crazy, and they're being carried in a certain way, and they know what's happening, because their friend Fred had just been taken out earlier. And they know the program, they know the drill, they're all whacked out. And they walk in the store right past you, and the guy takes it just past behind the counter. And I made the mistake of watching. And again, city slicker. I know some of you from other countries are going, Mike, Mike, Mike. This happens all the time. I know. But when you're not used to it, it's hard to watch. It's hard to see. And I'm standing there, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it. And I watched him while he cut the chicken. Hey, it's Michael from Hyderabad, India. Today is July 29th. As of today, I have been in India 7 full days. Actually, today is day number 8. And I want to share a little journal update, obviously brag on God and what He's been doing, and also just kind of share for my own personal memory and keepsakes some of the firsts that I've experienced coming to India. I want the comfort of America. When you come to a third world country, it is a completely different animal. And I was so upset by what I saw, shocked and saddened. And I got emotional in that recording. I came back to India this time. It's amazing. I took a completely different route to India this time. I've now circumnavigated the entire globe. The first trip, I went east through Amsterdam into Delhi and from Delhi into Hyderabad. This time, I took one of the top 5 longest flights in the Delta Airlines lineup from Atlanta, Georgia, flight 295, all the way to Tokyo, Japan. As I got into Tokyo, I began to feel this grace. I felt like a sense of bliss. I had a chance to see my last journal entries from the very first trip to India. You would have seen my first one where I was quite emotional, and coming to this country was a complete shock to me. I mean, when you live in America, and I know those subscribers that are from around the world that live in difficult places are going, come on, Mike. But you got to remember, I've been a city boy my whole life, pretty much. I've had obviously difficult things happen, but still within. I want to first say thank you for those of you that have been praying for Persis and I. Those of you that have sent us emails or comments on YouTube to let us know that you're praying for us. God bless you. Thank you so much. It's the greatest thing that you can do for us is to pray for us as we serve others with God's help. We just appreciate you so much. So as far as coming to Hyderabad, maybe if you have